Okay, let's unpack this. It is Monday, February 2nd, 2026.
Hmm.
And today, we are not talking about, the latest AI breakthrough or the markets. We aren't even talking about geopolitics.
No.
We are talking about a grocery run.
A very specific grocery run,
Yeah.
actually. One that took place in the rain, involved a grown man squatting on a public sidewalk, and ended with a pretty profound lesson.
A lesson on how we see the world, yeah. We are diving into the mind of a tinkerer. Our source material today is a blog post from qianmeng.org.
Specifically an entry titled, Notes on Photography, Part 228, Lessons in Urban Composition.
And if you're looking at that title and thinking, Part 228,
That's a lot of notes.
yeah, you are just barely scratching the surface here. The author, Ang, describes himself as an old software plumber.
Software plumber.
I stopped on that phrase when I was reading. It's so different from software engineer or architect. A plumber, they fix the pipe.
It's hands-on. It's not glamorous.
It's about keeping the flow moving.
Right. It implies a very mechanical, a very practical understanding of systems. And what's so fascinating, and what we're going to see today, is that Ang applies this exact plumber mindset to everything.
Photography, gardening.
Diet, coding. It's a worldview, not just a job title.
So our mission today is pretty specific. We want to understand how a mundane errand, just buying groceries in the drizzle, turned into this little masterclass.
And we're going to look at how he analyzes his own work, his own mistakes.
He makes some funny ones.
He does. And his whole philosophy on gear versus, the skill itself.
It's really a lesson in training your eyes,
Exactly. It's about the discipline of seeing, rather than just buying more expensive equipment.
which I think is a message we all need. So let's drop into the scene. Where does this all begin?
It begins with a detour. Ang is on what he calls a quick grocery run, but instead of just going from point A to point B, he stops at a nearby public garden.
See, that's already the tinkerer mindset. Most of us, we have a chore, we just want it over with. Tunnel vision.
Get the eggs, get home.
Right, he's treating his environment like a source of data. Let me just check the specs on this garden first.
Precisely. And he even says in the post he's there to evaluate the progress. That's the software phrasing coming right out.
He's checking the uptime of the plants.
Yes. And he notes he got significant insights from this trip, but, and this is very him, he saves those insights for a future post. He partitions the data.
It's like he's filing a bug report for later. Ticket. Hashtag 4 of 5. Garden observations.
Status. Pending.
But the spark for this deep dive didn't happen in the garden, did it?
No. It happened on the way back. He's walking home, probably carrying bags. The weather is turning, and then he sees something.
He finds a striking open view of a building.
Right. Now, picture the constraints here. It's starting to drizzle. He's got groceries.
Most people would just put their head down and hurry home.
But Ang stops.
He-
And he doesn't just stop.
He commits. The text says he decided to squat down.
He gets low.
I love this image. It's raining, he's holding his shopping, and he's crouching on the sidewalk to get an angle. I mean, that is dedication.
It is. But it's also about working within constraints. And this is where it gets really interesting for anyone trying to learn a skill. The conditions were terrible. He says, as it was drizzling, I managed only a few quick frames.
So, no time to set up a tripod, check his settings, wait for the perfect light. He had seconds.
He had seconds. And constraints like that are a stress test. They force you to rely on instincts.
You can't overthink it.
You can't. It exposes your actual skill level because you don't have time to fake it.
So let's talk about the shot itself. He mentions he went for a worm's eye perspective. For the listener who might just snap photos at eye level, why do that? Why get your knees wet?
So the worm's eye view shooting from the ground, looking up, it completely changes the power dynamic between you and the subject.
Okay.
In urban photography, it makes buildings look monumental. It
Right.
emphasizes all the vertical lines, the height, the scale. It forces you to look up at it.
Makes the building feel imposing.
Exactly. If he'd shot it from eye level, standing up, it might have just looked like, well, a building, a snapshot.
Like those here.
Right. By squatting, he turned it into architecture. He tried to tell a story about height.
He turned a building into a statement.
But here's the kicker. He gets home, he unloads the groceries, and he opens up the photo. And this is where the software plumber comes out.
He doesn't just post it on Instagram with a hashtag.
No, he debugs it.
He runs a code review on his own art.
He does. He starts with the positive. He says, compositionally, it's a good start. But then he immediately pivots to the bugs.
The distraction.
Yes. He spots a structure in the top left corner of the frame, and he says it distracts from the main subject.
So he's already mentally reshooting it.
He's simulating the patch for the bug. He realizes that if he had just adjusted the tilt of the camera slightly, he could have hidden that structure.
But that's not the only error, is it? There was a user error.
Oh, this is my favorite part. The classic finger in the lens.
The thumb on the sensor. I have so much respect for him admitting this. I mean, this guy writes hundreds of technical notes, and he's willing to publish a post saying, yeah, my finger's in the top left corner.
And he blames it directly on the rush. Due to a result of the rush, he writes, it's a reminder that even when you have the eye, physical reality gets in the way.
It's a runtime error.
It really is. But he doesn't just delete the photo, he looks for the fix.
Right.
He notes that he could fix it in post-processing. He says, these issues can be fixed through cropping.
But that feels like a salvage job.
And that's the key. He realizes that while he can save it with software, the better solution would have been better technique in the moment.
It's like patching a bug later versus writing clean code in the first place.
That is a great analogy.
Yeah.
You can always use Photoshop as a crutch, but relying on it weakens your eye. And this leads him to the big philosophical question of the post.
The gear question.
The gear trap.
If I just had that $3,000 lens.
If I just had the better sensor. We all go through this. We think the gap between us and the pros is just hardware.
Yeah.
And Ang asks himself plainly, can I capture a better shot using better equipment?
And his answer isn't a hard no, right?
No, he's a pragmatist. He says, that is definitely something for me to explore in the future. He acknowledges that better tools exist, but then comes the pivot.
I love this line.
For now, just use your mobile camera and train your photography eyes instead.
Train your photography eyes. That just shifts the responsibility entirely.
It shifts the agency from your wallet to you, the person. If you can't compose a good shot with a phone, a $5,000 Leica is just going to give you a very high-resolution photo of a bad composition.
A high-resolution image of your finger in the frame.
Exactly. Sharper, maybe, but the mistake is still there.
It's so empowering, though. It means you can start training right now, today, with the brick in your pocket.
And for a software plumber, this makes perfect sense. In the open source world, and we know he's deep into Floss, free and Libre open source software, it's often about doing more with less.
The hacker ethos. Use what you have.
Exactly.
Now, I want to zoom out a bit, because if you just read this one post, part 228, you might think, okay, cool, a guy who likes photography. But when you look at the sidebar of his blog,
Right.
the scale just changes completely.
It's staggering. It stops being a blog post and starts looking like a database of a human life.
The numbers are wild. This was Notes on Photography, part 228. 228 lessons, but that's nothing.
Now, look at the gardening section.
Notes on Gardening, part 795.
795 entries on gardening.
That is unbelievable discipline. And I noticed something funny. Part 794 was about tropical plants, and then part 795 was, should we explore C?
Right. Should we explore C, the programming language?
And the gardening notes.
It seems so. It might be a categorization error, or maybe his mind is so interlinked that the line between growing a plant and growing a code base is just blurring.
He's mixing his metaphors. But then there's Notes on Haskell Programming at part 47.
Which, if you know anything about Haskell, that is a notoriously difficult language.
Yeah.
47 notes on it is a serious commitment.
And then the variety, I'm just looking at the list. Notes on fish keeping, specifically betta spawn logs. Notes on dieting. Notes on home improvement. Guitar. Meditation.
Elixir,
Yeah.
Rust, Go, AI.
He's a polymath, or at least he's practicing in public to become one.
He is a serial learner. But I think there's a deeper pattern here that connects right back to that blurry finger in the photo. It's the journaling approach to mastery.
Okay, break that down for us.
He doesn't wait until he's an expert to write. He doesn't wait until he has the answer. He just writes notes.
Part 1, then part 2?
He documents the process. It's purely iterative. It's the release early, release often philosophy of software, but applied to life itself.
That makes so much sense.
I mean, think about it. If you're writing Notes on Gardening, part 795, you have probably killed a lot of plants along the way.
Oh, definitely. You've had root rot, you've had pests.
But you didn't quit. You just wrote a note about it, a bug report, and moved to the next version. So when he posts a photo with his finger in it in part 228 of photography, that isn't a failure.
It's just data point 228.
Exactly. It's just the lesson for that day. The mistake isn't a verdict on his talent. It's just the raw material for the next iteration.
That takes so much pressure off. We usually hide our mistakes until we can show the perfect final product. He's publishing the mistakes as he goes.
And this fits his identity as a floss enthusiast perfectly. In open source, everything is versioned. Version 0.1, version 0.9. You release code knowing it has bugs. He's treating his own skills as open source software that is constantly in beta.
He's comfortable being a work in progress.
He thrives on it.
And the consistency. I'm looking at the archive dates. It's only February 2nd, and he has 6 posts already this month.
The consistency is the engine. You can see the monthly archives going back years. 2025 has 730 posts.
Wait, 730. That is exactly 2 posts a day.
Every single day, for years.
Okay, that is intense. That is a level of rigorous self-documentation that most of us can't even imagine. But it explains why he can spot the error in the photo so quickly. He's doing the reps.
He is doing the reps,
Yeah.
and he's doing them across multiple domains. He's cross-training his brain. The discipline for debugging Haskell is likely the same discipline for analyzing soil pH, which is the same for critiquing a photo.
It's the meta skill of noticing.
Yes, noticing details, noticing patterns, and noticing your own mistakes without judgment.
That's the part I love the most. Without judgment. When he talks about the finger in the photo, he's not beating himself up. He's just saying, finger visible due to rush. Fix, crop or tilt. Next.
It's objective. It removes the ego from the learning process, which is so hard to do. Most of us see a mistake and we feel shame. We think, I'm stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Aang looks at the mistake and thinks, my thumb was 5 millimeters too high.
One is an emotional reaction. The other is a plumbing reaction.
Exactly. Fix the pipe. Don't yell at the water.
Fix the pipe, don't yell at the water. I need that on a t-shirt. So bringing this back for our listener, what should we take away from this?
I think the first big takeaway is the one Aang explicitly states, the equipment trap. It is so easy to procrastinate because you think you lack the pro gear.
I can't be a photographer until I have a DSLR. I can't be a coder until I have a 3-monitor setup.
Right. And Aang proves that is false. You have a mobile camera? Great. Squat down in the rain and see what happens. The constraint is actually the teacher.
Yeah, an expensive lens might just hide your lack of skill because the background blur looks so pretty.
Exactly. The mobile phone is honest. It forces you to deal with the composition.
And the second takeaway.
A power of the note. The power of small, incremental documentation. You don't have to produce a masterpiece every time. You just need to produce a note.
Just log the spawn, log the bug, log the photo.
Exactly. If you treat your interests as a long, numbered series, a bad day isn't a disaster. It's just a plot point in a very long story. It creates psychological safety. Part 229 gives you a chance to redeem yourself.
It reframes the idea of talent, really. We look at great photographers and think they were born with the eye. Aang is suggesting that the eye is something you build, layer by layer, note by note.
And that you build it by looking, really looking, whether it's at a public garden or the lines of a building. The world is constantly offering up lessons if you're willing to pause your errand run and look.
Even if it's raining.
Especially if it's raining. Rain adds texture, reflection, changes the light. A software plumber sees rain as a new variable to play with, not just a reason to go inside.
I love that.
Yeah.
So here is the challenge for you, the listener. You're likely in the middle of your own grocery run of life right now. Maybe you're commuting or cleaning or actually buying milk.
Look around. Find one thing to tinker with visually. Look at a shadow, a building. Ask yourself, if I had to take a picture of this that told a story, where would I stand?
Would I squat?
Would I tilt? And if you mess it up, if you get your thumb in the way, congratulations.
You just completed part 1.
And you're on your way to part 228.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a thought that's been bouncing around my head since we started reading Aang's work. We live in a world that is obsessed with best practices and the ultimate guide to X.
Everyone wants the shortcut,
Yeah.
the cheat code.
Right. But Aang represents the opposite. He represents the note, the part 795, the ongoing, messy process of figuring it out yourself.
Which raises a question, I think. If you stopped worrying about whether your work was good or finished and just looked at it as the latest entry in a lifelong logbook, what would you be willing to try?
If you knew that failure was just part 14, what would you attempt today?
And what could you master by part 228?
Something to chew on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Catch you on the next one. Keep tinkering.